Hi everyone, I'm Angie and welcome to Make It Monday. So this month we are going to create a custom pendant and some custom magnets. We're going to get started. First we'll kind of go over what you're going to need. So you're going to need a glass bubble, which is called a cabochon. This is the 1-inch size. You can do smaller if you want. So that's what we're going to use for the pendant. And then you also need a 25 millimeter or 1-inch bezel, and that's what this looks like. We found a variety pack on Amazon where you can get a bunch of different designs, and then some of them have designs on the back as well. They were very inexpensive for us to do that. The other thing you're going to need is some glass bubbles. Just glass bubbles like this. You can find these at the craft store. You can get a really big bag for $3. So those are the items that we're going to need. We're also going to need a product called Diamond Glaze. This is what we're going to need to glue the paper to the glass. You're also going to need a few Q-tips, some scrapbook paper or calendar, or we'll kind of go over that in just a minute. The other thing I wanted to mention, if you don't like to shop Amazon, I did find a pack like this available at Hobby Lobby. They were one of the only places that carried both the glass and pendant pieces together. And so this package actually gives you a variety of different shapes and sizes that you can make. Okay, so these are the pendants that I created, and then I also created some magnets. That's what those look like. I'm going to move those off to the side. And we're going to talk about what I used for the paper. So paper can be anything from scrapbook paper like this. I have some washi paper here. Just little different bits and pieces. And then what I do is I just kind of audition what I want to do. So I'll take my clear glass bubble and I'll kind of move it around the paper and decide what I want. So like this one, you could focus it on just the love word and then have the other two there. I have some dictionary page paper that you could, focus it over a word, a specific word. I also have some holiday paper, so if you want to make like a holiday necklace. I also had a little scrap of Halloween paper, so you could put your bubble there and then make like a Halloween pendant. I also had some foil type paper that you could put over just the leaves. So just kind of take your glass and audition different pieces of paper to see what you want to do. And you will do the same thing for your magnets. You'll just take your magnet bubble. We have an old Calvin and Hobbes book that the pages were just falling out. And I thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to make a Calvin and Hobbes magnet? So we're going to make that today too. The other thing that you can use, we had some books that were falling apart. But like some of the designs in the book are really pretty. So if you take your glass marble and just move it around, there's a lot of just pretty sections of this page that you could use to make magnets or a pendant with. Here's another one that's just a book page that was kind of falling apart again. You could use like the leaves of that or the more blue leaves. And again, here is, a Calvin and Hobbes page where these I think work better with the magnet, but it's kind of funny. You can circle in on his face. So those are the types of things you'll want to look for before you start to figure out what you want to make. The other thing I wanted to mention is last month we made shaving cream paper. Well, your shaving cream paper works wonderful as a background to magnets and different things. The other thing you can do, and I did that on this one, is you can take a rubber stamp like this. This is just a wood-mounted rubber stamp, and stamp onto your paper first. You know, make sure it will fit underneath your magnet, and then stamp on there. The only thing is you need to make sure that it is a permanent type ink, something that will not react with water. This is the ink that I used. It's called VersaFine Onyx Black ink. This is my favorite ink pad to use, and that's what I used to stamp that. It worked just fine. So if you're a rubber stamper, you can look through your stamps. The other thing is you could put a small sticker down there. So the possibilities are kind of endless. You know, let your imagination go and you will think of all kinds of ways to use these things. All right, so we are going to get started. I had decided that I was going to use a small corner of this down here for my pendant. So what I'm going to do is just kind of audition an area that I want my pendant to go in. And I kind of like this area right here. So there's two ways that you can do this. If you're afraid you're going to forget where you are going to put your pendant, you can take a pencil and just hold your pendant down and draw a circle around that. And you're not going to cut it out or anything, but that way you can kind of remember where your pendant's going to go. So the next thing we need is our diamond glaze. I'm going to make sure my tip is opened here, so I'm just going to take a pin and just push it into the tip. Sometimes the tip just plugs in, so I just want to make sure it's open. And then just to make sure that it's flowing, I'm going to just take my piece of scrap paper here and just make sure that it's flowing. So here's kind of the tricky part. You need to put enough diamond glaze down that it will flow all the way to the edge, but you don't want too much that it flows completely out of there. So what I do is I start in the center, and I'm going to make a circle of diamond glaze. And you want to be careful because you don't want air bubbles in there. And I'm going to go not all the way to the edge. I'm going to probably leave myself 1/8 of an inch. Then I'm going to take and place my glass piece over the top. Now it's going to look milky at first, and it's going to want to float. But you want to put your finger on there and hold it. It sets up fairly quickly. And then while I'm holding that, I'm going to take a Q-tip, and anything that has squeezed out, I'm going to kind of pull off of there, and I'm going to stick it on my piece of scratch paper here. You want to make sure that you don't like touch the top of it, because that's going to, so it's already kind of setting up. So I'm trying to not get my hands in the way, and then I'm just going to pull the extra diamond glaze away from the edge a little bit. And it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to cut it out once it dries. All right, so my cabochon is on there. I am going to just slide this off to the side and let it dry. And it doesn't take a long time to dry. Okay, so now we're going to work on one of our magnets, and that is pretty much the same thing. I'm probably not going to do a pencil line on this. The one thing I like about using the diamond glaze is when you buy these flat mounted or flat glass pebbles, they're not always perfect. Sometimes there's imperfections on the back, Well, when you put the diamond glaze on, that kind of seeps into all those imperfections and makes it a little bit easier. So for this one, I'm actually going to put the diamond glaze on my pebble. I found for the magnets that this worked easier. Of course, my bottle has plugged up again here. I will also apologize if you hear banging in the background of this video. They are working on our road out front, and so there's all kinds of dump trucks and everything moving around out there, so I apologize if it gets noisy. There we go. Okay, so again, I'm going to put a nice even layer, and you can see that I don't have that all the way to the edge. And always cap your diamond glaze when you're done, because it does dry pretty quickly. Alright, so now I'm just going to flip this over and press it down, and you do have a little time to move it. And again, I'm just going to, it really wiggles quite a bit at first, but then it starts to set up. So you just got to kind of hold it there with your finger and just let it set up. And I did pretty good on this one. I don't have, you want a little bit to ooze out, because then you know it got all the way to the edge, but you don't want too much to ooze out. So that's just a matter of the more you do, the more you'll figure it out about how much you need on there. Also, this surface that I'm working on is called a non-stick craft mat. It's like a silicone mat. I'm working on that because I just don't want to get anything on my cutting mat, and everything will come off the silicone mat. So again, I'm going to go just pull off any extra, and you can tell it's already starting to set up because it's not moving around like it was. So see how it doesn't move? So there, we have that one set. And we're going to make one more magnet. This came out of just an old book, but I like the sunflowers, so I thought I would make a sunflower magnet as well. So again, just kind of audition where you want. You just need to make sure that it's whatever you're choosing to put your magnet on top of. And think of things like maps. So say you have an old map or a map of someplace you went on vacation. The other thing is you can also do photos behind this. So you could make photo magnets as a gift for the holidays. The possibilities, like I said, are just almost endless, and it's kind of, just kind of a fun and addicting thing to do. So again, I've got my magnet down there. I'm just gonna, or not my magnet, my pebble, glass pebble down there. And I'm just gonna press that down. And again, just kind of clean up. This one I did pretty good. I don't have too much oozing out, but I can tell, and you can tell that you have enough underneath, as everything will look real crystal clear. All right, so that is the basics of what we're going to do. I am going to let these dry, and then I'll be back to show you how to finish everything up, to put the magnets on and to put it in, put your pendant in the cabochon, or not the cabochon, the bezel. Anyway, thanks everybody, I'll be back. Welcome back everybody. All right, so we're going to continue on finishing up our magnets and our pendant. So everything dried. It takes about 15 or 20 minutes. I like it to be really dry, and so the way to tell is if like you flip this over and it still feels kind of damp, then it's not dry. So when it feels completely, it's not cool to the touch or anything, then it's dry. So to trim these out, I like to use Teflon scissors, just because it's a non-stick scissor. It just makes it easier. You don't gum up your scissors. If you don't have one of these, just use a regular scissors, but you just might have to clean your scissors off when you're finished. So to trim this out, you're just going to take your scissors and bring it right up to the edge of your glass. And I just kind of turn it as I go, and I kind of angle my scissors so they're at like a 45-degree angle. And all this is going to be hidden behind. You're not going to see any of that. I kind of just go along and clip off any pieces that are sticking out. You just want to make sure that you have everything trimmed away. Okay, that looks pretty good. Get rid of that. And we'll do the same with our magnet, or what's going to be our magnet, with our glass pebbles here. And you can do this with any size pebbles too. They make smaller pebbles, so if you want smaller magnets, I just happen to grab the bigger size because I think you can do a little bit more with them. All right, so we've got those trimmed out. I already trimmed out my sunflower one, so this is what they look like now. Now we need to place our pendant in the bezel. So what I like to do is, again, like you auditioned your paper, kind of audition my bezels and see what I like better. And just by looking, I had kind of come down to these two, but I actually think I like this one better. So see how it fits in there? And that's kind of what it will look like. But we need to attach it. So how we're going to attach it is a product called Red Line Tape. It is a very strong double-sided adhesive. This happens to be a 1/4 inch size roll. It comes in different sizes. I think you can also purchase it in like dots. I've had a hard time finding those though. And this I have found at most craft stores. So I'm just gonna put a couple pieces of this on the back side of my cabochon. Okay, and then I'm going to burnish it down with my fingers really well so that it sticks. And I've got a little too much sticking off the edge there. I'm just going to trim that. And then the easiest way to get the backing off is to have a pin. I kind of like these, excuse me, old corsage pins work well. All right, so I'm just going to get that underneath. So the red backing peels off and then you have a clear adhesive there. And once you stick this down, you won't be able to move it around. So it's best to really make sure that you have this facing the direction that you want, that it's straight up and down before you actually put this in your bezel. So I kind of hold it up a little bit to make sure that I've got it straight and where I want it. And then I'm just going to put that in there and then just press it down really good. Now some people have used a product called E6000 glue to glue these in. You can do that, but then you have to take and seal your paper or the E6000 glue will eat through the paper. So if you want to use a product like that, then you would need to take a Mod Podge or something and seal this paper before you use E6000 glue. I happen to just like the tape because I just think it's easier and less messy. Okay, so that is our pendant. So to finish your pendant off, what you would do is take a jump ring and put a jump ring through the loop there. And a jump ring is basically, let me get this opened up here. It's just a round metal loop like this that you would insert into here and then hook onto your chain. I don't have any at home right now. I thought I had some, otherwise I was going to show you how to put those on. If you don't know how to put a jump ring on, I would YouTube it. There's somebody out there, I'm sure, that has a video of how to attach a jump ring. So you would attach a jump ring and then you would put it on your chain. And the chain you can find at many different places. You might even have a chain at home you want to just attach this to. So that's what you would do for your pendant. Now we're going to move over to our magnets. And for our magnets, there's a couple different ways you can do these. You can usually find round magnets like this. And again, you can just attach them to the back with some of the red line tape, which is what we're going to use. Or you can find magnet in a strip roll like this. Now this is adhesive magnet, but I don't trust the adhesive on here. So we're going to use, again, the red line tape. So we'll use one of these on each one. What I'm going to do is peel off what's supposed to be the adhesive. To me, it's just not sticky enough. And I'm going to take some red line tape and put it right over the top of that. So again, I'm going to just take a couple pieces of this. And I'm going to peel this off so I can get another piece on there. Whoop. There, we got it. And I'm going to try not to touch it too much with my fingers because I don't want to wreck the adhesive in any way. And then I'm going to peel off the backing again. And then I'm going to place this long ways because that's pretty much how my design is on there. So I'm just going to place the magnet on the back and push that in place. And then that is ready to go on. I will say the round magnets are a little bit stronger. So depending on what you're going to use your magnets on, you maybe want a little bit stronger magnet. So then I would choose the round ones. Otherwise, I think a magnet strip, you don't want a super thin magnet strip. You can see that this magnet is pretty thick. Thinner stuff, like you get those free cheap magnets, I would not use that kind of magnet. It's just not sturdy enough to hold the glass. So you just need to make sure that you've got something that's a little bit more heavy duty. I'm going to get another piece of tape on the back of this magnet here. And then we will get our stuff all finished. All right. Okay, so I've got my adhesive there. Just going to flip my magnet over and I'm just going to center this one straight in the middle. All right, so there is our magnets. So kind of fun stuff. I really, again, this is one of those crafts that can get kind of addicting, but it also makes for great gifts. Like I said, don't be afraid to stamp or use your paper that you made. You can make all kinds of fun things, and what a great gift for the upcoming holidays. So thank you everyone for joining me. I hope you learned something and had a great time. I hope you'll try this at home. Next month we'll have some type of fall craft coming. We don't have all the details lined out with that yet, but we will see you again in October. Thanks everybody. Bye-bye.